when a newly established French publisher, Noesis, got in touch with me and said, we would like to do a collection of books, each one devoted to a single painting or a single sculpture or a single piece of music. And we would like you to begin the series. Which painting would you like to deal with? And I thought, well, I've always liked Bruegel's work, and there's one in particular which is extremely complex. There are 500 characters in it. There are many things going on at the same time, but they're obviously all concentrated on a single theme. So I said, Bruegel's Way to Calvary. Okay, so the next stage was I bought a big reproduction, and I sat for 3 months with a magnifying glass studying it. And as I did so, I discovered an enormous quantity of details. And I realized that this painting, which is 170 centimeters by 124, is really a miniature, but it's an enormous miniature. So that was the point of departure. When I was working on this thing, I asked, friends would come to see me and they say, oh, what's that? And I say, well, it's the Way to Calvary. Now tell me if you can find Christ. And I was very surprised to see one person, 2.5 minutes, she couldn't find it. I finally said, look, he's there. Another one, who I asked the same question, he did like this, thump, thump, he's there. They said, I studied art history. I know that if there's Christ in a painting, he is at the crossing of the two diagonals, and he is there. But what does Bruegel do? In the painting, he has a man wearing a white shirt and sitting on a white horse just in front of Jesus. Jesus is here, and he is there. So the eye is, of course, drawn to the white. So instead of going to the gray, Jesus is dressed in a gray tunic, the least visible color. He's there, and you see this man in white here. So, of course, you look at the man in white. You see his horse, his shirt, and then you see his face, and he is making an ugly scowl, and he's looking behind him. And so you think, well, what's he looking at? So, yep, you look there, and there is a woman holding on to a man's arm, and the man is being pulled by soldiers. So obviously it's Simon being taken to carry the cross, but she's not at all of that opinion. She won't let him go, and the sheep on the ground, and the jar of milk that she's carrying is on the ground, emptying itself onto the grass, so it's a big fight. And then you see men running off in several directions, and they're all carrying white bags. So you see them, and you notice them. White bag, yes. And so they're running away. Why? Because they think, well, if they don't get him, they'll come after us, so let's clear out. So this is the way Bruegel gets your eye moving all over the painting, except at the center. It was a painting about two stories at once. Bruegel paints the Passion of Christ as though he were painting the execution of a heretic in his own day. Now, this was not unusual in his day. Flanders was an extremely wealthy area of Europe. Antwerp, where Bruegel lived, he lived there until 63, I think. And at the time, Antwerp was doing more commerce in 1 month than Venice in a whole year. You can imagine the importance. It was a bigger city than London. And there was a great deal of cultural life. There were many painters, there were many printers. In 40 years in Antwerp, they published 75 Bibles in different languages. So, and also the Reformation was very active there. In Bruegel's day, he saw many people being executed, and the rules were very drastic. The king's laws were that men should be decapitated by the sword, and women should be buried alive.